Welcome to r/RedditRevenge. This is a story of someone getting back at someone with revenge after being wronged. And today we have 3 great stories. So subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. Woman did not want to listen to me and attacked me, so lost her job and was arrested. The second story. I chose the profession of a nurse, and I will not work at the post office. The third story. Neighbors went to jail by suing my friend. The first story. If security asks you to turn down the volume, just comply. Cast, store employee, SM, me, my boss, MB, building owner, BO. So let me set the scene. I'm a security officer with Redacted Security Company. I work in a refurbished office building that has been made into a bunch of stores. So I've been with this company for almost 8 years. So I have a great professional relationship with the BO, clients, and all store owners. Now, I'm generally a good guy and am relaxed about the rules, as long as 1, as your space doesn't get out of hand, 2, I'm needed or be called for a complaint. This particular day I received a complaint of loud music, so I'm following procedures and walk the floors and find the source. As I get to the 3rd floor via the stairs, I can already hear the music on the floor. It's the new nail salon. I decide to go to the restroom, and on my way back I calmly knock on the door of the salon, and am greeted by SM. The conversation went like this. Me, I'm sorry to bother you, but I received a noise complaint. I know it's the weekend and not a lot of people are here, but I have to ask you to lower the volume, please. SM. Oh, okay, no problem. I didn't think it was too loud. Me. Thank you for cooperation. She then shuts the door in my face. Rude, but okay. So I continue to the other floors and didn't hear any more music, so I return to the security desk. About 40 minutes later, SM comes down up to the desk I'm sitting at, and this is the conversation that follows. SM. You're a liar. Me. Excuse me? SM, you said you got a complaint against me. I just went up all the floors and nobody said they complained about me. Me, I'm sorry, ma'am, you misunderstood what I said. She cuts me off before I can explain. SM, don't try to backtrack now. You're a liar and I'm gonna get you fired for harassing me. I called my boss and she's calling BO. Me, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I need for you to return to your workstation, as you're causing a scene in front of clients. And if not, I'll have no alternative but to walk you out of the building, as the site has a zero-tolerance policy for these kind of events. SM, I'm so gonna get you fired for this, and storms off to the elevators. About an hour later, I get a conference call from MB and BO. MB, morning me, I'm on conference call with BO, and we received a wild complaint about you misbehaving on site just now. We want to get your side of things before we decide on what to do next. BO, I agree, as the allegations against you are really out of character, and I have confidence in your performance in representing both our interests. So I give them the rundown on everything that happened, and how I handled it. BO, that sounds more like you. However, it's now he said, she said, as she claims you forced your way into her workspace and was yelling at the top of your lungs at her to turn the music down, while yelling obscenities and racist remarks at her in front of our clients, and how you threatened her life if you had to come back up there. She says she feels like her life is endangered as long as you're here working so close to her, and her clients said that she was telling the truth. Now I was peeved. Cue my nuclear revenge. As a safety precaution a while back, I bought a body cam that's connected to my cell phone. And guess what? After the conference call was over, I remembered that, turned on my cam, and it had been recording since before I clocked into work. When I checked it, I struck gold, because not only did I have a recording of all the interactions with SM, so after reviewing my audio and video footage, mostly to get start and end points of all the interactions I had with SM, I called MB back. Me, hey boss, I forgot about my body cam, and how I could prove what I was saying. MB, really great. Send me an email and a copy of the footage for me to review. Me, okay sir, and do I have permission to contact BO and let her know? MB, if you want to, I'll be calling her after reviewing the footage too. So I called BO and told her about my body cam and how I could prove my innocence. I could literally hear her perking up at this. She responds with, BO, perfect, send it to me ASAP. My email address is redacted, and the time notations I should look at. Fast forward 2 hours later. Who comes wobbling out of the elevators in tears, in a sobbing mess with a box with her stuff in it, with her head down doing the waddle of shame as she's being escorted out of the property by police? It's SM. Later I find out that BO called the salon owner and was livid that her employee was causing such a scene and had got her clients involved with the incident against me, and how that was unacceptable. While BO didn't have the power to fire SM, but BO made it clear that she's now banned from the building and all its resources. Reminder the salon owner that thought SM called the shots inside the salon. Her A answered to her once she steps out of that salon. And the icing on the cake, BO renegotiated my contract, and I got a $5 raise for my outstanding service. Thank you, BO. Update. SM came to the site a few weeks later and literally begged me to speak with BO and get her to rescind the ban. She begged, tried to bribe me, and even offered to spend the night with me. And when I told her no, she threatened to call the police and say I tried to harass her if I didn't. I grabbed the landline and said, okay, let's call BO. When BO answered, I told her that SM and recounted everything she said. SM started yelling that I was the liar. I then spoke loudly and said, yes, BO, my body cam is on, and I recorded the whole encounter. At this, SM spotted my body cam and turned around and ran out the door. Update 2. A few days later, SM's boss comes down and apologizes to me and said SM will not be bothering you anymore, as she was arrested for trespassing and verbal harassment. As BO has friends in high places, our local police force, and was pressing charges. The second story is, you messed with my time off for the last time. I used to work at the post office as an RCA, which is a rural carrier associate. It was a part-time driver job. It paid well and I wanted to get the full-time job with benefits, so you have to start somewhere. The full-time driver on my route was Bill. Bill was his own man. He did what he wanted, and the postmaster allowed it. When I was trained, I rode one day with Bill. The next day, Bill called out. I then had to sort the mail and drive the route all alone. It was horrible. The PM should have told him to come in, but he was a spineless man. I didn't finish until around 8 p.m. It should have been around 3 p.m. given the time of year, and how long it would eventually take me. My schedule was every Saturday, and any vacation days Bill would take. I also covered every time he called out. Now, as this was supposed to be a one-day-a-week job, I had a full-time job as well at my local hospital. My post office job was in the next county over, about 45 minutes away each way. I would get calls at 6 a.m. from Bill with some BS excuse for him not wanting to come to work. He would say he had to see an orthodontist today. I worked with these doctors, and I know that there was no way he'd be able to get an appointment that early. If he needed an appointment, he should have called me the day before, so I could get my second shift job covered. Again, spineless PM would allow it to happen without any recourse. On my anniversary, I had told him I was going to take my wife out to a nice lunch, before we both went to our job at the hospital. At 6 a.m. the phone rang, and it was the same lie as always, and I had to go in. I reminded him it was my anniversary, and he said too bad. I went in totally peeved off. The same thing on my birthday, and then on my wife's birthday, he called out and I had to work both jobs. A few months later and nothing had changed. I applied to nursing school and was accepted for the fall program. I had several months, so I kept it to myself. My plan was to work the same way I had, and if I was offered a full-time post office job, I'd take it. If not, I'd go to nursing school. Both were great careers. Bill called out whenever the workload was heavy, like with Sears catalogs. They were the worst. The postmaster would do things like remove all the toilet paper from the bathrooms, thinking we were wasting time pooping, I guess. He'd also turn up in the heat of summer, so we'd be miserable and leave on our route faster, which was physically impossible, because no matter how hot you got, you had to sort everything before leaving on your route. Sorting was by hand, and I was trying to be very accurate. Now, Bill had gotten remarried shortly before I started with the post office. They never had a chance for a honeymoon, so they put it off. They scheduled a 2-week trip to the Caribbean. When he told me there was a month to go before they left, which was plenty of notice, he told me the tickets were non-refundable, so don't screw me over. I had had enough of Bill and the PM screwing me over all the time, so 10 days before he left, I put in my 2-week notice. The PM assumed I'd worked through Bill's vacation. Nope, just the first 4 days. Bill called me at home. Man, I've been good to you. You've got to cover my time off. The vacation is non-refundable. I remind him of all the times he's lied to force me to cover, and the days I had to work for him like my anniversary, my birthday, my wife's birthday, etc. Also how he screwed me over in orientation, making my first several weeks miserable. I left the day I said I would. The PM refused to cover, and Bill had to cancel the trip and come in and work. I love nursing, so I made the best choice. I worked in a psychiatric hospital and loved my jobs and my patients. I ended up happy. And the last story is, don't mess with the holidays. This story isn't mine, it's from a friend. Backstory, we live in Portugal. Here there's a law that states that if someone abandons a plot of land and that it's used by someone else for a minimum of 20 years, that person has the right to claim the land for themselves. This friend of mine has inherited a house in town. This town is basically a beach holiday town. The rich people of the city nearby often had there a house and spent the whole summer there. This was in the early 20th century. Some people still do that, including my friend. So his family's been using a spot right next to their house as a playground for the kids for way more than 20 years. In fact, for over 50. They hadn't yet needed to claim it since the owner didn't do anything to it, and as the whole neighborhood used it, doing that would be a-hole-ish. Until 2 years ago, when he decided to sell it to a couple that built a 2-story house there. The house completely ruins the view that he had over the sea, and also ruins the look of the neighborhood due to its differences to other houses. So my friend decided to claim the land. This was before the house was built, but since Portuguese justice is slow AF, the house was already fully built when it ended. This time with the approval of the other neighbors. He didn't try to get the land after the neighbors bought it, just after the former owner was trying to sell it. But lawsuits here take so long it actually ended when the house was built. The couple that had brought it had some friends in the justice system. The wife's mother was a retired judge. Her sister was a very well-known and respected lawyer, so they managed to overcome my friend's claims, on a technicality, but from the start it was obvious that my friend should have got it. The way they got it was very shady. They only won because they knew people, and this is why he decided to get his revenge. The street between the two houses had free parking everywhere. This is because most people in the neighborhood are friends and don't have garages, so they park in front of their house. But the annoying neighbors had a garage. My friend had a truck that once was used for a restaurant of his, and he parked it right in front of their garage door permanently. It was legal since they hadn't paid the town council a yearly fee to have a non-parking spot there. After a few months they decided to get that. That costs 8,000 euros a year to maintain. Until this point it was more out of petty revenge, but the annoying neighbors had threatened him to remove his vehicle before that. They've said they would throw rocks at his windows, which they once did, that they would flood his garden, which they did repeatedly, and even that they would steal his dog, a German Shepherd. They tried that, but the dog bit the guy on his leg, and as you know, those dogs bite hard. The threats were all recorded by my friend, since he would record every conversation he'd have with them in person or over the phone. He had taken pictures of the window and the garden. He sued them, and this time the influences weren't enough. They had to pay a 10,000 euro repair for the window and garden. He has a friend that evaluated the costs, conveniently quite highly, and had to pay him a further 30,000 euros in compensation for the mental health issues it caused. But wait, there's more. Remember when they tried to steal the dog? They had done it when he wasn't home, so he never even knew about it. Out of rage, they sued my friend for his dog biting the man's leg. He had to spend a week in the hospital as it got very badly infected, and tried to make him pay for the hospital fees in compensation. But he defended himself by saying they invaded his property, and even sued them for that, which led to a 1-year suspended jail time. Which means if they're ever convicted of something, they'll spend that year in jail on top of that conviction sentence. If they don't do anything else, they won't be going to jail. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button.